Hello, welcome to Salt City Knits podcast. I'm Emily, and this is a podcast all about my making life. I'm coming to you from Salt Lake City, and today is October something. What is today? The 26th. I can't keep track of the days. All I know is it's the last week of October, and what an October it has been. It has been so beautiful here, and just the most gorgeous fall. Just the most gorgeous fall. And we have lots of cold coming in to end that all. So, but I get ahead of myself. You can find me as Salt City Knits on Ravelry and on Instagram. And you can find all of my patterns on Ravelry and also at yarnbrary.com. And all of those links are down below. Thank you for joining me today. We have 1 week left on the SCK shawl along. And so make sure to tag any shawls that you may be knitting or crocheting with the hashtag SCK shawl along to be entered to win some awesome prizes. And I'm putting a picture right here, but we have a gorgeous bundle of minis from Lay Family Yarns and a coordinating 100-gram skein. All of these are fingering weight yarns, and I think would be a beautiful scrappy bias shawl, but you could make whatever you would like with those. So that is one of our prizes. And the other prize is any of your choice of my shawl patterns. So I will be drawing those prizes next week. So that means this is our last week. And to answer a couple of questions, yes, works in progress are totally permissible. You do not have to have finished your shawl in order for it to be entered. And if you are also entering other knit alongs, I am right now. I'm doing another shawl knit along and with a mystery knit along, Stephen West's mystery knit along. But if you're doing any others, you can definitely double dip. So just make sure to tag those. I've also had a couple of people email me. If you're not on Instagram and you would like to still enter, you can email me your entry, and my email address is also in the description box below. So today I had to quickly grab my camera and record right now because right now the lighting is good, but it could change at literally any second. We had a good solid rainstorm last night, and our temperatures have dropped dramatically. There's even possibility of some snow this weekend. So, it's funny because we go from air conditioning needing to be on to snow in like a week's time. Oh, the joys of Utah. I think it's partially just high elevations, but I hear lots of places saying that, that saying, if you don't like the weather, just wait for 5 minutes. I think we all have that experience no matter where you live. So I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. I am ready for the cold temperatures. Bring it on. That's how I feel. Today I am wearing my Hitofude cardigan, which I knit several years ago, but I still wear fairly regularly. And this was knit in a Qing fiber. I don't remember what the name of the colorway was, but again, it's years and years ago. Maybe 6 or 7 years ago that I made this. But what is amazing to me, it's a single ply yarn and it has held up perfectly. It hardly ever even pills. It's just amazing. This is a really fun cardigan. My watch keeps thinking that I'm talking to it, which I'm not. But it's a really fun cardigan that if you have ever seen the Hitofude cardigan, you knit like a big rectangle for your sleeves and upper body, and then they join together along wherever that seam is, right here along this seam. And then you pick up and knit back and forth for the rest of the body of the cardigan. So it's a really fun one. in its construction, and I've knit 2 others as well as gifts. So kind of fun. I have only works in progress. I don't have any finished objects to share with you today. So let's dive into that. I am really excited to share my Stephen West Mystery Knit Along progress. So we're going to start with that. I have not finished clue 3. And again, if you do not want to see spoilers, then you will want to skip ahead. But we're on to clue 4 at this point, and I'm still have clue 3 in progress. So I don't think I'm showing you anything. Plus clue 4 is already out. So if you are making this shawl, you already have all this information. So I knit the original clue 1, and I've talked about this in past episodes, especially 2 episodes ago. I went into a lot of detail. So clue 1 was this square with these stripes going in all different directions. And then clue 2 were these V's of alternating eyelets and reverse stockinette going out this way and the other direction. And then clue 3 has been this very interesting texture that is created using slip stitches and doing these kind of wings that are coming off to the side. So this was my first side, and then I am in progress on the second side. I have really thought this was a fun technique to learn. It's basically the same as floats in color work. It's just that they're purposefully planned and placed to create this pattern, and it's all done using knits and purls and slip stitches. So I thought that was really interesting. And we have another really fun texture coming up in clue 4. I am going to sneeze and be right back. Okay. I don't know where that came from. But anyway, that is pretty fun. So lots of different stripes going in all different directions, using lace and different textures and lots of different techniques. Very Stephen West. I do like, at first I wasn't sure I was gonna love this shape. It's right now it's like a truncated, I mean it's gonna head to being a truncated triangle. So as if you had a triangle, you know, a triangle with the end cut off. But clue 4 does add to that. And once I saw clue 4, I got a lot more excited about the shawl in general. It's going to make it a little bigger, which I really like. I like a big shawl. And not everybody does. I know, I'll talk to people and they say, you know what I really like about this pattern? It's not too big. And I can understand that, especially if you are petite. I am tall, I am broad-shouldered, and I have a long torso. Well, I mean, it's long because I'm tall. It's not disproportionately long, but I like something that's going to really wrap around me. And so, yeah, I like a big shawl. I think it's also because I do wear shawls just draped over my shoulders a lot of the time. I think if you generally wear a shawl always in like a bandana style or wrapped, you know, around your neck twice or anything like that, then if it's too big, that's really difficult to wear in that style. I enjoy shawls worn that way, but I also like them just over my shoulders. So for example, if you started out with my podcast back in earlier episodes, I started out working on Stephen West's Geogradient Shawl. That is a big shawl, especially because I knit it with fingering weight Surrey alpaca, a lot of it, which is actually even, you know, I don't know, if it blooms to almost a DK weight. And so it's definitely got a lot to it. And that one, when I wear it, I only wear it just draped over my shoulders, and snuggled up in it. Oh, and it is so cozy. I was wearing it the other day when it was really cold and just enjoying it. So I'm glad that this is going to be bigger. I really, really love my colors. I think that there's so much excitement over this annual event of this mystery knit along that the weight on my mind of picking the exact right colors, it's like I second guessed it way more than I normally do for anything that I knit. I don't know why, because they're beautiful. I love them. And again, you're not seeing it. I wish you could see it, but there's sparkle in there. I think the only sparkle you're seeing, well, I don't know, maybe a little bit's coming across. Figure if I wiggle it a little bit, it might catch the light. But all these yarns are on a sparkle base, and they're all by Dandelion and Dogwood. And I've talked about them before, about Dandelion and Dogwood, but the base is Fairy Sock. I know for sure that this really, really, really pale pink, the lightest color, is called Maybe Baby. I'm pretty sure this darkest color is called either pumpkin spice, no, it's spiced cider, or you know what? Again, I will look it up and link it below. I can't remember the name of all of the colors. Oh, I think the gold is you're in a cult, call your dad. Anyway, those are the colors, and I think it's so beautiful. It really is turning out very lovely. I'm really happy with my color choices. I'm glad that I went with these very, the pinks and the golds. I'm always gonna love that. So that one is coming along. I was feeling kind of unmotivated with Clue 3, even though the texture is very cool. The beginning, I love it when I can get something into my head and not have to look at the pattern all of the time. And I just never, I mean, the middles of the rows are very, you're doing the exact same thing for every row. It's just about the beginnings and endings of each row, both the right side and the wrong side, to make sure that you're staggering those slip stitches properly. And so I had to look at the pattern for the beginning and ending of every row. And even though those sections don't look like a ton, they're quite dense because of the slipping of the stitches. So there's a lot of knitting in those sections. And I just wasn't very fast at it, which is fine. I mean, it's not all about being fast or being speedy, but I don't know. It's just taken me some time to really get in the groove of it. And I am now, of course, now that I've finished one whole section and I'm partway through the second section. And they are getting shorter. You know, I'm working from a wider point to a narrower point. So it gets faster and faster as you go along. So I will get that done pretty quickly. I don't think I'll have the whole shawl done by next podcast, but I might. I really could. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. For some reason, though, I am so enjoying my mindless sock knitting right now. So let me give you an update on that. Now, I haven't grabbed sock blockers, but that's okay. You know what a sock looks like, and it's stockinette stitch. So first off, I showed this in progress last time, but I finished the first sock for my son's Christmas presents. Here, come on, let's go ahead and I really think they are just perfect. Also, here's my Halloween nails. Kind of fun. Anyway, I think these turned out just so great for him. He loves this color palette. It's funny because if you look closer, there's some pinks and golds and teals in there, which are just beautiful. And this yarn by Yarn Cafe Creations is so fun to knit because the colors are just so beautiful. And you get all those little blips, like, you know, just those 3 little stitches there, or these bright stitches right here, or this little pop of emerald in there. But from here, it reads just kind of a rusty, like a terracotta almost color. And then the orange is really fun. So again, this yarn is by Yarn Cafe Creations, and it is a sock set. And this is Cinnamon Pumpkin Latte is the colorway. And this is Citrus Spice. Oh no, Spicy Citrus. And this is her biscotti sock base, which is a 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon base, 4-ply, and it's 437 yards to 100 grams. I love this base. It is just so great, and it wears beautifully. I have used Christie's yarn in several pair of socks that I've worn and worn and worn, as well as multiple sweaters. I'm trying to think of which 2 sweaters I knit. I knit a beautiful emerald colored cardigan that I wear a lot. And I knit, oh yeah, I knit that red one. Anyway, I've knit 2 sweaters and several pairs of socks out of her yarn. And I have at least 1 more sweaters quantity and other sock yarns in my stash. And a design coming up with her yarn as well. So big fan of Yarn Cafe Creations, and I love the biscotti sock base. So great. So this one is finished. And then I just have a little baby cast on for the second sock. Just that little baby right there. This, the pattern I am doing for this one, 72 stitch cast on, and knitting 25 rows for the cuff. And then he likes a really long leg, and he has tree trunk legs, so these actually shorten up quite a bit. But I think I did 85 rounds. I'll have to double check in my notes, but 85 rounds for the leg. And yeah, and then just knit the foot and my rounded wedge toe. And I knit 5 plain rounds of the contrast color before going into the decreases. Again, that's just because I like the way that that looks, not for any functional purposes. I just like that. So those are going along nicely. And since my son is around, you know, some of the time, and I don't want to work on those in front of him, I also cast on the socks for my son-in-law. It's the exact same pattern, exact same size and everything. So I finished the first sock for him. And this yarn is from Hobby or Hobie Yarns, and it's on their Silly Sock yarn base, and this is color 01. Yep, color 1. This is a 75% wool. I think it's a superwash wool, 25% polyamide. And it's just kind of some crazy stripes, and I really like the marled effect that it has. My guess is that's the polyamide that is undyed. And so I've knit that first sock, and again, exact same pattern. They're so big. In fact, I took a picture and just posted on Instagram of the difference between one of these socks and one of my socks. And the sock that I put in the picture is one that I had been wearing. It's blocked, it's lace, and it's a no purl version of the monkey socks, free pattern on Knitty. That's the sock that I took this picture with, compared to an unblocked sock. And so if I were to block this, or if I hadn't been wearing that sock. The difference would have been even greater to see the difference between the two sizes. But the fun thing about it is, that makes me laugh at myself, is I don't know why a sock like this just seems like it goes and goes and goes and goes. And it's because you're comparing it to another sock. But I knit sweaters and shawls and blankets, you know, it's not like it's a ton of knitting per se. It's just a ton of knitting for a sock. So anyway, and again, I have a little baby cast on for the second sock. I try to make sure always to immediately cast on for the second sock, because it's like, it seems like if it's on the needles, I'll just knit on it. It's not a problem. But if I have to cast it on, it kind of might sit for a while. And I don't know, I don't tend to fall prey to second sock syndrome very often, but with 2 pairs going of these big boy socks, then sometimes I might. The put up for that silly sock yarn is in kind of a more traditional skein. I'm holding my fingers inside this to get it to show up more fluffy. It's actually super flat at this point. But it's just a little bit different than, you know, a lot of the other sock yarns where you wind them off into a cake. And I don't really care for the oval shaped, or even kind of, I don't know what I'm looking for. You know, the balls of yarn that are commercially produced, that I tend to get lots of yarn barf and tangles and things like that with those. But this has been perfect. It's just gone perfectly. It's kind of a funny color progression in my mind. That bright blue, I don't know, but I like it. And I really actually like this yarn. I've used Silly Sock a couple of times before. This time and the first time I knit with it, I really liked it. The second time, so the middle time that I did, I found it to be a little scratchier and splittier. But it's an extremely affordable yarn. I think Hobby is always having sales, and I'm pretty sure I got this. I have another couple of skeins downstairs. I think I got it for $6.99, maybe $8.99 for 100-gram skein of yarn, sock yarn. It's brilliant, very affordable. So, but you know, it's funny because you really can't compare these two. I don't know, they both have their charm though. This one definitely has that more polished, and I don't mean polished like glossy. I just mean it's smooth. It's, it just feels luxurious and nice. And this one has definitely a more rustic, woolly feel to it, but there's something I love about each one. So there is no one right way to make a pair of socks, you know, one right yarn, one right brand. And you know, in the end, this is a much more expensive pair of socks than this one is. So it's kind of nice to be able to have some nice affordable options, and also have some, you know, more luxury and, I don't know, higher end and bespoke even, you know, yarns. So they both have their place, and I enjoy working with both. Got yarn tails clinging to me. All right. Well, that is literally all the knitting progress I made. This last week, I spent days and days finishing up backcountry shawl pattern. and it is with my tech editor right now. And so many of you have signed up to be test knitters. I'm so excited about it. That information is going to be sent out to you very quickly here as soon as I get that back. And then after that, my husband and I did a content writing retreat for our nonprofit for heroic youth. And so we spent 3 days with our partners, Joseph and Krista, working on our partners in crime there, working on all of the plans for the youth program for next year. And so by the time we got home from that, my brain was just Jello, except for it didn't get to be Jello because I had to teach a class the next day all about worldviews and how they influence law and politics. So I taught that class, and that's when I came home and I just went, okay, mental shutdown. And I watched over the last couple days. I've just been knitting, resting, and it's more like mental rest. I have been still doing stuff around the house and, all my normal things, but that mental rest. I watched an entire season of Unforgotten, which is a British crime drama that I really liked. Anyway, and I just vegged, and it was really nice. But I got to get back to life. And so there you go. You can't veg forever. So that is all I have for today. And I will be recording again next week and doing our final prize draw for the knit along. And I will see you then. Have such a great time with your knitting and your making. Bye-bye.